Call the meeting to order at 10 after 7, and that's not too bad. Public delegations, there are none, so we'll move to the minutes of the last meeting. What do we need? Is a motion to read them, or what's?
A motion to review them?
To accept or mention corrections.
Yeah.
Do they have any needed corrections?
Yeah. Any changes?
Just a comment, since we voted on officers last meeting,
Yeah.
you probably need to put in the minutes that I was seated because you've got me as making motions.
Okay. All right. There is a motion that you were seated. The
Yes.
first motion.
Right up in the.
Motion number 1.
Oh, okay, sorry, missed it, my fault.
Okay. Well, better you than me.
So the score is 1-0 so far. Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any further comments? Hearing none, I guess we accept the motion, the minutes as written.
Okay.
Under new business, I would like to add another agenda item. Can I do that now?
Yep. Go ahead.
Yes, and do you want to seat by motion, Harvey?
So
moved.
Yes.
Who did it, Laura?
Okay, you want to add an item to the agenda? Just make a motion, somebody in the commission make the motion to add such item to the agenda, whatever the item is.
Okay, can I do it?
Yep.
Okay.
No, chair cannot make a motion.
Okay.
What agenda item do you want to add, Art?
Trail Subcommittee.
I move that we add Trail Subcommittee as an agenda item for tonight.
Right,
I'll second it.
Do we have to take a vote on that?
Every time there's a
Yes.
motion.
Okay.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, me. That's the only change that I have. Okay.
Mhm.
Going on to new business A, review of updates of open space plan list / East Lyme Land Trust purchases. This might be a good time to mention a letter that I got from the Planning Commission. What they want to do is present in person the updated POCD to our commission. And at that time, we will then see the updated open space plan with the, what properties
To have
are.
the property list, the
Oh,
update.
yes.
list in it?
And I'll
Okay.
make it a point that be discussed, okay?
Do we invite them or do they invite us?
No, we invite that person or whoever it is. The letter says, we would like to meet in person with your, I'll summarize, with your commission.
Can we do it at the next meeting?
I'm going to meet with Gary tomorrow. I'll talk it over with him and see if, our next meeting date is open. But I have another question regarding that. Do we want to put this off for one more meeting where hopefully we can have them in a live meeting?
Well, if next month is a live meeting, then next month would be it.
No, I mean, not Zoom, but
No, that's what I'm saying. If the next meeting can be in person, then that would be the time.
why don't I try to get them to come to that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Unless somebody has an objection.
does anybody see that? So I will talk to Gary tomorrow and hopefully line that person up for our next meeting at the, we'll assume we can get the Center for Aging. Did I get that, what it's called?
Well, if it's not the senior center, it can
The senior
be
center.
some other meeting room in the community center
We'll-
or
Yeah, I'll leave it open. I'll
Yeah,
suggest
there's
that we're working.
several places.
Yeah. So anyway, I will do that. But I can tell you that I spent, 3 months ago, going over with the town planner, Gary, on the open space plan, the listing of all the properties. We went over every one of them, and as far as I'm concerned, it was correctly updated. So the other / East Lyme Land Trust purchases, let me bring you up to date on that. You'll hear some of it's going to be repetition, but we're getting in closer now. We'll be getting the ownership of a 300-acre property called the Duval property, the northeast corner of town. That was where there was going to be a golf course there. It's a terrific piece of property. It has the headwaters of Cranberry Meadow Brook in it. The power lines go through it. Now you say, well, why does that make it good? Well, that's a terrific place for birds and small mammals. It's also a wildlife corridor to the Niantic State Forest. Positive things, believe it or not, about power line right-of-ways. The land trust has taken ownership now of the property. It's a 40 acres, more or less, owned by Jeff Torrance. It's abuts Darrell Pond, and its virtues are several. One of them is it's all the water that's in the Patagonia watershed. So
Wait a minute, is this a second property now?
yes.
Oh, okay. And
And
what's it being called? Does it have a name?
I don't know what I'll have to get that next time. It's Torrance's property right now, although it's the land trust property. But its virtues are, that's a 40-acre piece of property. Every drop of rainwater, goes through a wetland and it empties directly into the Patagonia aquifer. So what a home run that is from that point of view. Also, it's got a terrific set of boulders and cliffs for beginning rock climbing. And actually, you got somebody who's quite interested in teaching that. I thought I was interested in that also, although I used to do that. So I would like to teach also. The third piece of property, which most of you probably know, but I've been asked not to bring it up officially. We should get the final, we have to work out something on the Blue Book appraisal. There were some questions, nothing illegal, simply maybe not following the proper format. We understand that's been cleared up. So the next month, I'll be able to announce over 100-acre piece of property that's quite spectacular. It's got amounts to the land trust gaining almost 500 acres of land that will affect our drinking water supply. That's pretty hard to beat. Anyway, that's A. B, the new business item. I wanted to make formal suggestion that we set up a trail subcommittee. And I have in mind, at least as a starter, Harvey to be actively involved in that thing. Anybody else who would like to join, I'd like to join it with you, Harvey. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of real good science being developed for trail maintenance. The Land Trust, for example, has started a project, which I happen to be the guy who started it, but it's how the heck do you keep off motorcycles and ATVs off of footpaths? First off, right now it can't be done, but there's some science to this, and I think we have some good information that we may be able to do some pioneering work in this whole area of protecting this walkway. So what I want to hear is anybody's comments do you think this is a good idea to have a subcommittee devoted to this?
I do. I think it's a great idea. And also, there's no reason that that can't be posted with signs from the Traffic Commission that motorized vehicles are not allowed on those trails.
That's, well, that's exactly the point we're working on. There's too many details to brought up now, but by the next meeting, we'll have a pretty robust plan for this whole thing. I've talked to the chief of police about it. I've talked to other people about it. I've studied what signage there is around 5 pieces of state property. But a lot of talking, and I think we're coming up with a rather original, a good plan. And next month I'll be ready to roll this thing out.
One thing to inquire is whether or not fines can be imposed for violators. I know that hiking in Maine on some of those trails is posted and it says violators are subject to a fine, and that precludes some people from violating the regulation if they think they're going to be fined.
You're right. Those are the things we still have left to work on. There's some legal issues that still have to be answered, okay? It's got to be relatively complicated. You have to do a little more work on that. But I can tell you, had a very good conversation with the chief of police. He's a smart guy. And I think we have developed a pretty good plan. It's not a punitive thing. We don't have to carry a stick. But I think it has a high probability of being better than we have now, which is practically nothing. And I look forward to having Harvey actively engaged in that. Harvey, I went over again your letter of requesting you'd like, or when you brought up, you said you'd like to be involved in this committee, and I read that thing and I said, my God, this is the guy we have to have. You signed up for that without knowing it. Okay, but you have exactly the background, and anybody else who wants to get involved, you know, it could be from walking point of view or just obviously comments on it. I think we'll be able to present a pretty robust plan for this thing.
Yeah. Hey, Art, are there already individuals that are involved in maintenance of these trails?
On the Goodwin Trail, it's just me.
Okay.
And now there's going to be you.
Right, okay. Are there others on the land trust that are involved in developing trails?
No, this is all brand new, basically.
Okay.
With the exception of Oswegatchie, there's quite a.
Well, yeah, but they take care of their own.
Yeah, they take care of their own.
They
They're
don't move off.
with the exception.
Yeah,
Okay, so is Harvey going to do this under the auspices of the Commission on Natural Resources?
I
Can,
hope so.
as an alternate?
Well, yeah, but he should be, the commission, if he's going to be doing this under the auspices of the commission, then there should be, there should be a motion that he's authorized to act on behalf of the commission or create a subcommittee that he's the chair of.
Yes, that's it.
So moved.
That was my next.
Did that?
Yeah, I'll second Laura's motion to
Okay.
create a subcommittee for a trail subcommittee. And I guess a second motion is required to have Harvey as chair of that subcommittee.
So moved.
I think it should be the same motion.
Okay, same motion then.
Okay,
Fran, did you get all that?
yeah.
Okay, so now we can vote on that motion, is that right?
Yes.
All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
No opposed? So be,
We'll tell Mark about it when he shows up.
yes. Okay, I'll tell you this, what I like about this is, now think about this, what we've got is, we have an agricultural subcommittee that's been working splendidly for 4 or 5 years, all right? We have the sustainability group that's working splendidly for the last 2 years. And now we've covered a third big area, and that's trails, both creation, maintenance, all those issues that are policing. So we're really covering the waterfront. And what's most important, we've done all the scientific preparation for doing all these things. Okay, we know soils maps, we know trails, we know erosion, we know trees, we know a whole bunch of stuff. So we really got this thing. Yes, sir.
Did we formally create a sustainability subcommittee?
Yep,
If we didn't, we need to.
no, we did.
We did.
I'm chair,
Okay.
Harvey and Laura are on it.
Okay.
Poor Harvey is getting grabbed into everything.
Harvey's busy.
Yeah. Well,
Harvey's everybody's date.
I've got to get a lot of information from Art on this, that's for certain.
Yeah, we'll get together and we'll have some good walks and talks. And I think I can easily see us adding the public, many people from the public to this commission to help us. Okay, let's move into old business. Penny, I think that's,
Yeah, the pollinator pathway program is slowly moving forward. Marjorie Meekoff is the chair of the Lyme pollinator pathway group, whatever they call themselves. They want to focus on Darrow Pond properties, although they've got their eye on a very long list of other potential places that, and Mark Christensen is very actively helping them because he has the machinery to actually get this stuff, cleared and done. I contacted in helping them to try to get started so that we can get a sustainable grant, which is all I'm involved in here, is if they're going to start at Darrow Pond, how would they'd like to do it in the area that surrounds the parking lot, and that's where Art comes in, where he's going to meet with Gary about a map of where various things that Parks and Rec might want to do and where these guys can work. And the thought is that they should not try a control burn because it's not going to work. I talked to Jane Seymour, who works for Wildlife Deep, and she's done meadow restorations for wildlife for several years now and seems to be the state expert. And she recommended very targeted herbicides after clearing if necessary. And where they'd like to have it is a lot of grassland with invasives that you can get to on foot. It's not a jungle. So the whole idea is that if Mark is licensed, that possibly they could go forward with that. This is future stuff. This, probably next fall. In the meantime, they have seeded already seeded areas for pollinators in the back 2 acre, 1 acre, 2 acres, 2 acres, I think, of where the Giving Garden is. And as of yesterday, we also seeded an area at Oswegatchie around the Pitch Pine Park and the Rain Garden, and we're going to try to seed in an area, that the slope area where those of us that shoveled gravel might remember to do the bridge. It's between the kiosk and the bridge at Oswegatchie. So that'll be the last place that'll be seeded in for, because I'm told you have to seed before the end of March, and if you don't make it by March, then you have to wait until November, which to me seems a little strange, but it's dormant seeding is the way it's done.
She's coming to the high school next Wednesday to talk, well, now, Zooming in next Wednesday to talk to
Tom
students
is?
about, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's funny because Tom is the one who really is taking a lot of action for this, but he backed away because, not to get into the individual people here, Marjorie wants to be in charge. Okay.
Yeah.
In charge, but Tom's the one who knows how to do this. So I'm trying to get a grant for them. I thought I would be able to get it written for them. I can only write what they give me. I can't make up the words for them. If they give me a paragraph and they give me a budget, I can write the grant for them. And Marjorie is taking her time. She's met with Gary. She's met with a whole bunch of people and walked around Darrell Pond. And I'm going to let them take their sweet time, whatever it takes, till they're comfortable to make a plan. As of now, they're focusing on Darrell Pond. They seem to think that might be a place to start where there will be less access problems because the town owns it and it will be visible to the public. I'm not, and they seem to think that's a great place. Personally, I think they should start in someplace smaller, but hey, not my job to judge. So that's where that's at.
Okay. Penny, I think the next B is probably,
Yeah, Greg Decker had arranged to get, to move on with the Pitch Pine Park to get seedlings, saplings, little guys, and he has numerous medical issues that are going to take him out of service for quite a while, which is very upsetting. I think he has to go out of state for to get a specialist and will be in rehab for quite a long time. But there are other people. Mark Comstock, who lives in Lyme, has volunteered to step in and take the appointment, which is April 1st, to go to a location in Rhode Island where these saplings can be taken out of the wild without issue and pot them up and put them in his greenhouse. Because I think he makes some money on it. I'm not sure, it's a side thing with him. He makes bonsai out of pitch pines, so he's prepared. He knows how to deal with them and keep them alive and make them, whatever the potting mixture is that they like and all of that stuff. So he's going to take these saplings and babysit them over the summer until the fall. And hopefully by then, Greg will be back with us and we can proceed.
just to add to that pitch pine point, there are a lot of pitch pines out at Darrell Pond.
Yeah, I didn't realize there's one right by or off the side of the parking lot, which
Yeah,
is the
there's quite
nicest
a few
pitch
of
pine.
them,
It's so beautiful. I didn't realize it was a pitch pine.
Yeah,
It's gorgeous.
there are quite a few of them. And that was a segue right into the discussion of Darrell Pond Forestry Report. Let me bring you up to date as to how you're going to get your hands on this thing. After a lot of persuasion and a lot of phone calls, I will have a meeting tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock with Gary Goschel, and we're going to discuss loading the forestry report onto the town website. I'm going to put a one-page introduction, how did this start? So you'll be able to get a copy of this from off the town website. Anyway, that's how you'll get it.
Okay. A lot of people have asked for it.
Pardon me?
Lisa Wally asked me for it. She thought we had it. I said no.
So I don't think it'll literally be on tomorrow, but we're going to go through. I'm going to bring it down and we're going to get it set up to put on. Yeah.
Where does this officially reside? In the files that the secretary keeps? Oh, I'm totally wiped. Can't remember her name. In Gary's files, where are the town files that are the official residence for these kind of reports?
I don't know. I will find out tomorrow from Gary. Okay?
Okay.
I don't know where the open space report sits. Okay? I just don't. But it's a legitimate question and we should obviously have an answer. I always say it's on the town website.
Yeah, but I don't know if the town website's a legal legal place.
Well, the original has to be somewhere.
Right.
Well, everything's got to be somewhere. That's the point.
Well, no, there's legally, Ron's point is legally, there's got to be an original document.
Well, I'll have to, in fact, I will put that on my question list tomorrow. Where is the legal repository for this stuff.
Because that includes like the water report, all that stuff.
The whole thing.
That's where I was going to.
Well, the water report is ours. We made that up, whereas this forest report is a DEP report.
Yeah,
and
but once we start using it, even if it goes on the town website, it's got to be attached to something that we've delivered.
Well,
Bingo.
yeah,
Gotta have a home.
And that's,
yeah, well,
and that's.
Fran attached it to our meeting minutes months ago, right, Fran?
I didn't get it, so I.
Oh. Whoops. Art, do you have I have just the text. I don't have all the appendices
Of what?
of the water report.
I have everything.
Okay, well, that adds to the pile of what
Yeah.
Ron's asking about.
It's an area that we really have never cleaned up.
Yeah.
We really got to get that thing organized, okay?
Is
But
that your homework, Art?
I will address that tomorrow with Gary.
I think he's going to hand that job off to you.
Perhaps, I have no idea.
Well, I thought the report that you submitted and presented to the, when you did the presentation to the Board of Selectmen, I thought that was a completed report.
Yeah, I'm not sure all the appendices, did that include all the
Well,
appendices?
that was a summary of the entire water report, yes.
Oh, okay, then at least the Board of Selectmen, each selectman got a copy of that?
Yes, they did.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I don't know how much more official we can make it then.
I might say that.
Well, but
No, it does need to be on file, even if it's attached to our
Yes.
minutes. Got to be, someone has to be able to go find our production of it.
That's what I'm going to talk.
I agree.
Where it can-
Elected officials come and go.
Yeah, that's true.
I
So,
that for those of you who were at that selectmen meeting when we gave the summary of that report, I can't recall a selectmen meeting where they paid more attention to what we said. They paid
Yeah,
attention
but
to everything.
Roseanne makes a point that, we need, anybody new coming in has to be able to get a copy of this.
Exactly, but I'll discuss that with Gary and get this figured out, so the next meeting I can tell you, here's where you go to.
Okay.
well, I think more importantly, they need to know that there is such a report.
Well, that idea of that's why we put it on the town website.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can be sure that everybody has a chance at it. I mean, putting it in a file, literally a physical file in the town planner's office, that's filing it away for nobody ever to see. Anyway, hopefully I'll have a lot of things done with Gary tomorrow regarding these good points that you've all brought up. Let's go to communications. I read the communication that we had from the Planning Commission, and I'll discuss with Gary tomorrow when we can do it. We'd like it in person so that we can have a good exchange. So I'll
But April's meeting is in person, correct?
Well, we hope so, yes.
All right.
yeah, as opposed to doing a Zoom on it. Agribusiness, Mark's not here. I don't think he left anything to report. Chairman's report, couple of things. Last month, I brought up the idea, or they brought up the information that there's PFAS, I think that's how to say it, is present at Stone's Ranch. And what I didn't know is what does the EPA consider a critical amount that you should not exceed from a health point of view. Out at Stone's Ranch right now is like something like 4.5 parts per trillion. And this degrades ever so slowly. Well, Don sent me an excellent report which brought the answer up, and the EPA puts the critical number at 70 parts per trillion. And that allowed me to sigh of relief, because we have potentially 500,000 gallons a day that we can get out of the 4 Mile River for a public water supply. And that would have been terrible if we had a contaminated supply. Well, we don't have a contaminated supply, so that took a lot of, that was a great set of news.
Art, before
Yes,
you move on,
Yes,
the 4.5 PPT,
yes.
was that a soil sample?
I don't know. It was a sample, it was a federal government sample. I don't know if it was soil or water.
All right, was it done as part of a PFAS study?
Yes. A federal.
Okay, so it was probably a peak that they found over their whole study area.
Yes. And
All right.
there must have been a list of 200 places that have it. Some have 450 parts per trillion. We were way down, 4 or 5 or 3. And anyway, the good news was way down, and this is a federal report, so I guess they covered the topography well. Another point that I don't know quite how we handle this. I'd like to think that we could convince somebody, whether it's the selectmen or the Board of Finance, that there should be a permanent open space fund established, period, for land that the land trust is securing. And there's no reason why the town is not contributing to that, because the town's going to benefit from that. And
I have proposed that. I've proposed that in 3 different budgets, and it is one of the first things to go,
I know
to be
that.
eliminated.
Does it go because the selectmen say no?
It goes because the Board of Finance makes cuts.
Well, I would like to dispute that point. I'm not sure that it's cut by the Board of Finance. I'm not sure of that at all.
Well, I think that, all right, let me say that I don't think that I don't think it makes its way. It did get to the Board of Finance 1 year. There were extreme budget cuts. We couldn't put it back in. I proposed it a couple of other times. It hasn't gone anyplace. I think we need to have a subcommittee of, or somehow informally have the land trust, somebody from the Commission of Natural Resources, from all of our area groups come before the board and put pressure on that this needs to be done, that we need to have access to money when property comes available and we don't have any money to bargain with.
Absolutely. I can tell you that the town of, is it East Haddam, I believe. East Haddam, what they did was a very good idea. They pre-approved a $5 million bond issue, no money drawn on it. But if they need the dollars, that approval is already there. So then the Board of Finance can say, we approve based on this, drawing $1 million or whatever it is. I can tell you with the land trust, over the last 2 years, is going to bring in property valued at close to $4 million. And which goes a long way to protect the drinking water supply of this town. And I see no reason why the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance, whoever, I think those are the 2 key ones, will not support spending taxpayer dollars to continue these kind of purchases, which makes this town's water supply viable, period. I do not understand this.
Well, all I can tell you is that I've proposed it more than once. So I think the solution is, before it's too late for this budget session, but that we get a representative from each one of the boards and commissions in town that are concerned about natural resources and preservation, and come as a group to the Board of Selectmen next year when the budget proposals are being drawn up, and make a request, a formal request of the board. And I think that would have considerable power, rather than let's say just the Commission of Natural Resources going.
Oh,
Make a present.
No, but I don't understand the lack of response by the Board of Selectmen to this at all. I won't say anymore. I don't understand it. They have a responsibility to protect, among other things, the town water supply, and this is how you do it, period. Okay? And why is it too late to get that in the Board of Finance budget?
Because the budget has already been forwarded to the from the Board of Selectmen,
So
the town budget.
what's the timing?
What's interesting,
When
we
does this
have a
need to be
budget of
done?
$70 million. Why would adding another million mess the whole thing up?
What's the timing to get this done? When should this be done?
I think that you would have to, they begin the budget preparations and reviews. We begin in November and complete it, take proposals, and then the budget in December, we begin working more closely on just building the budget.
Well, that's good, because
You really want to be presenting to them by September.
yeah, it's
I
an
think
In
elec-
order
so.
that they can talk about it and actually put it in the budget, you're going to want to get their heads going in September.
yeah, it's an election year. This is perfect.
Yep.
And to
Yep.
be honest, in May, you could be presenting for
Well,
next year. Like this May, you could be presenting for next year.
As our Board of Selectmen representative, Roseanne, tell them we're going to be very aggressive with this. This is baloney, okay? We have a private group raising $4 million, and the Board of Selectmen can't figure out if they should contribute to that, to protect our water supply, okay? That's the key. Let them think about that. It's maddening to do this work.
Art, should we, as a committee, recommend that another subgroup be created that includes all the players to try to start putting a proposal together for the town for next year? You're not going to get it done this year, but we
Yes.
might get somewhere for next year.
Yes, and would you be willing to be involved in that?
I will, but I won't be here this summer, and that's when we got to do it. I could do it by Zoom.
Do it by Zoom, then, but you should be, we need your input. There are other good people here that can also put input in it. But the time for horsing around with this thing is gone as far as I'm concerned.
My problem is I don't know the other players.
Well, I'll find out who the other players are. I mean, I'll tell you who the other players are. Well, first off, it's us. It's the planning department, the planning commission, okay? Those are the other players. It's the Park and Rec Commission. It's anybody who uses our property. It's anybody who drinks our water. That's who should be on it. But to be specific, it ought to be the planning office, and it ought to be Parks and Rec, okay?
You're going to talk to Gary tomorrow
Yes, I am. I will discuss this with him, and
and maybe get some names or ideas, and it could be taken to the next committee, and then we can
yes, I
try to
will.
pull some people
Yes, I
together.
will.
I also think somebody from Inland Wetlands,
Yeah.
from their commission, because they have just, gone through a major legal battle trying to get protection in the upland review area and extend the protection area. So I think that somebody representing that commission would be a good inclusion.
I mean, there's almost nobody that should not be included. I mean, this is too broad of a, well, think of this. Turn the tap on and nothing clean comes out. Who should be involved?
Go to Texas.
It's that simple. And the
How
issue,
about-
very
how
interesting
about-
thing is, we have done such a very thorough job of finding out exactly where the water is, what the threats are. So we know what we're talking about. Now it's time for action. We got to stop talking. Anyway.
So should we just add that as an agenda item for next month?
Yes,
As we do it right now?
Put that on. Where are we in moving the proposition to the Board of Selectmen so that we end up with a viable open space funding mechanism, okay? In fact, there have been plans, I'll just carry this one step further. I was reading about this, and one of the plans, one town somewhere, something like this, they charged a water tax 15 cents on every 1,000 gallons that you used, okay? 15 cents. Didn't amount to a hill of beans per household, but when you added 9,600 households, then it amounts to something. And that way, everybody contributes, even if you have a private well, because the private wells benefit from our protection of the public property. For example, if you protect Darrell Pond, every drop of Darrell Pond water, runs into Darrell Pond, goes into Latimer's Brook. All the houses that live along Latimer's Brook drink out of Darrell Pond water, okay? So you can't say that public supply, it's everybody who has a drinking water supply, okay? Enough said. Ex officio report.
I will just be brief this evening. The zoning commission did approve the mixed-use property proposal for next to the East Lyme Pizza place. You might recall from those of you who've been around for a while that was the rectory of the church across the street, the St. Matthias Church, their original church. So the rectory building will be torn down and there will be a new building put in. It will be mixed use, commercial on the first floor. And I think it's five one-bedroom apartments on the second floor and 1 2-bedroom apartment, unless plans change again. So I think we're seeing again a small piece of property that's going to be totally built out in the zone where it's legal, but it will be quite a sizable building with, I think, 19 parking spaces in an area that's already pretty congested. So that'd be almost directly across the street from the new dollar store. There was quite a bit of discussion, and I think that they agreed that the zoning commission is going to form a subcommittee to begin to look at existing zoning ordinances and see if they need to be updated, and possibly trying to get part of the Flanders section identified as a historic area, as they did with Niantic Main Street, which would make them eligible for some more funding, and maybe we can do something with that area so that it doesn't become really over congested. If you think about it, there's the fire station right there, there's the pizza place, there's the school property behind it, 2 schools, the high school, and then to the other side, Flanders Elementary School. Then there's the church. Then there's the new it's dental, the new dental complex across the street from that. And I know that the parsonage for the Flanders Baptist Church, that was put up for sale, and I believe it sold. I don't know who the buyer is. So I think zoning is going to begin to take a closer look at some updated regulations.
They can't make it an historic zone when none of the historic houses are left. I mean, there's nothing left, is there?
Well, I think that if they designate an area such as that, and I'm not quite, they're just beginning to talk about this, they would have to determine where that would be. And yes, I think it's kind of late in the ball game, but there may be, we've still got some pieces of
hairdressers, the church.
Yeah.
That's
I know.
Hairdressers.
Mike, one comment, it's not an aside, but I'll tell you who has done, one town person who has done a whale of a job on design, and that's the zoning officer. He's been responsible for the designs of the, the gas station, the drugstore, and the Dollar General. He's done a very good job designing those buildings. He has enormous pressure to put billboards on and flashing lights and all kinds of stuff. He has plantings. He chooses colors. He's doing a whale of a job. In fact, they ought to call it whatever his last name is.
Mulholland.
Yeah, we ought to name that his corner because he's done a very good job. Anyway.
Okay, so that's it unless somebody else has, the budget, of course, has been forwarded to the Board of Finance. I have not checked their schedule. I don't know, your budget is small. I don't imagine there'll be much discussion. We have had a considerable increase in the grand list this year, but also unanticipated expenses related to COVID. And the emergency management building is coming along very well, and it is still well under budget.
Wow.
So I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Are we expected to get some state money now that the feds have voted to be very generous?
Yes. And we had already, anticipating that, we had already turned in a request for funding. And hopefully, so the state will somewhat determine how that money can be spent. There'll be limits.
That's why I asked, because apparently there's a lot of flexibility that is being given to the state in how this money is doled out and when.
Yep. Okay, that's it for me.
Okay, I guess we have to end at 8 o'clock. You can't get closer than this.
Yeah, 3 more minutes. So in terms of the meeting, Art, are you going to talk to whoever we have to talk to, Mark Nickerson or whatever, about having a meeting in person and where, or?
Yeah, I'll start with Gary tomorrow and see where that goes, but I'd like to.
I think Mr. Nickerson is sending out a memo. Either tomorrow or tomorrow Thursday. I think he's going to be sending out a memo to all boards and commissions.
Okay, well, that'll be handy.
Yeah.
Then we don't have to bother him, and we can just follow his whatever the memo says.
Okay.
Yeah, so he'll send it to, it'll go to all, I assume all board and commission chairs. But I don't know if it'll go to all the members or whether it'll be the chair's responsibility to pass it on. I'll email Art and tell him.
Thank you.
Then, okay?
Okay, yeah. As long as we all get emails, I think everybody's good with this. The date is April 14th. It's a ways off, so.
Yeah, I think it might be April 19th that they're thinking about. I think the stumbling block is, can you have a meeting of a public agency without allowing the public to attend? In other words, if in person you're going to have the meeting, does the meeting have to be open to the public in person? So I had asked, well, why can't the commission meet in person, and anybody that from the public that wishes to Zoom in under public delegations can do so by Zoom. But apparently there's some technicality that can't be done. But I'm pretty sure that either tomorrow or the next day there'll be a memo sent out.
Yeah, and if we have to post, I mean, we don't have to meet on the 14th. If the 19th is some kind of open date, we could put our meeting off for a week.
Yes, you can file a new agenda and also put it on the town website that the meeting date has been changed.
Yeah, if that's an issue, I don't know whether it would be, but if the 19th some kind of.
It's for me. I have a meeting that's on subsequent Wednesdays.
Oh, well, we can pick a date where
we got plenty of
that
time.
everybody can make it. I mean, we can.
Yeah.
We don't have to meet on Wednesdays. We can meet other days.
Yep.
Okay. I'll get some more information. tomorrow.
Okay,
Have a
thank
motion
you.
to adjourn the meeting.
Well, if this is my last time as Zoom host, thank you all for putting up with this. I am very happy to give up that position.
I move we adjourn.
Yeah, seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, no abstentions.